we're going to switch things around and we're going to play a little game called Own, Rent, or Trash. And this is really fun. This is not, no one's right on these. I mean, sometimes like everyone agrees and, but there's no right or wrong to this. So,
well, we'll let comments decide on that. No.
Yes. Yes, we will. Great points. So the very first one we're going to do is these are considered to be all horrible horror films. And just doing this to kick off spooky season, these are all the ones I'm going to show you are not going to be all horror movies or anything like that. It's only October 1st, so we're not going to go crazy. But just to start off, these are considered the worst, some of the worst horror movies ever made. So what would you guys, you can take turns, you can go in whatever order you'd like.
Corey, I'll let you take this one.
Okay. So what are our choices here?
So it's own, which means like you would be able to rewatch it whenever you want, watch it all the time. Rent would be like, oh, I'll check it out. I'll see it at least once, but I'm not necessarily going to own it. And then trash is just throw it in the trash. And I'm so glad you asked me because everyone in the chat should know what this game is if they have not seen it in the past yet. So
own, I'll go with one missed call.
Okay.
Rent. I'll go Troll 2. And then trash, I'll go Blood and Honey.
Any particular reasoning to choose those?
I've only seen the first two that I said. So Blood and Honey I have not actually seen before, so that's
fine. I haven't either, so. How about you, Mark?
I've only seen Troll 2. I haven't seen One Missed Call, but I guess that one's pretty bad, huh? I haven't heard anything really about it. I guess this one slipped through the cracks. And then Blood and Honey
too,
right? So, of a Japanese horror film, right? Because they were doing that in like this era of like the 2000s, where they were remaking like The Thing and The Ring, and The Grudge and all that. So I have seen Troll 2, and that movie is incredible. It is so bad, but it's one of the best bad movies. There's actually a really great documentary on it called Best Worst Movie, I think it's called, where they go into like the production and like the legacy that it's had. It's made by an Italian filmmaker, so like it's always interesting to see. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
No, go ahead.
Those Italian filmmakers have like, it's like they have these weird like interpretation of like American sensibilities and stuff. So like their depiction of like how Americans and people like talk is so incorrect, I guess. Yeah. I don't mean to sound like insensitive or whatever, but and that just makes the movie like so bizarre. Like all the dialogue is like ridiculous and not anything anyone would ever say. So with all that being said, I would definitely want to own Troll 2. I would probably rent Blood and Honey because I want to maybe see that and like pick it apart and talk about how awful it is, and then just trash One Missed Call because I'm sure that's abysmal.
Yeah, those are all great choices. I think a couple people are. I'm so glad you pointed that out. And we discussed that One Missed Call is a remake because people are not having it that we're trashing the original. Takeshi.
Miike.
I think it's Miike. Yeah, I didn't realize that he did the original. That's cool.
Actually, I was thinking of the original when I was doing that, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good again because I kind of felt bad for saying that it was bad.
No. I'm not thinking. I don't think I've seen the remake of that one, but
don't worry, you're not missing much. There's like literally, I used to joke about this in high school with one of my friends. We'd go up to each other in the hall because we both watched it, and like there's this line that the girl says. It was in the trailer too, and she's like, "Stop calling me!" And then they're like, "It's the police. Trace the call. It's inside the house." And it's like so ridiculous.
So that everybody's gonna be like, "What's Corey talking about?" You know, it's like thumbs down to Corey. But
no, it's fun though. Like that. You know, some people like to own really bad ones to make fun of, and I think Troll 2 would be the one to own because it's like you throw it on. But I think Blood and Honey, the Winnie the Pooh one, I think is just such garbage that I don't think I'd be able to own.
Yeah, just really cynical and like so clearly cashing in on the fact that Winnie the Pooh is like public domain now. Like, it's hard for me to look at that and not think of it as anything but cynical.
Right.
You know,
No
regardless of how,
creativity.
yeah, regardless of how like entertainingly bad it could be, like it's a movie made in like bad faith, I would say.
Right.
Okay, so this is the
Ooh.
next one. These are
Okay.
actually, and forgive me on the year this was, but these were the top highest grossing movies at the box office. Literally,
2012, I think.
probably, yes. I needed to write this down and I did not. So these are the highest grossing movies of, we believe, 2012. The Avengers, Skyfall, and The Dark Knight Rises. So I can lead it to you gentlemen.
Corey, you can continue. We'll go in order here.
Oh wow. So own Dark Knight Rises.
Hell yeah.
Rent. Oh gosh, this is a hard one.
Yeah, sometimes
I'll-
they're hard.
I'll go rent Avengers and trash Skyfall, but that's not an easy decision on that. But
I think I'm in sync with you. I love Dark Knight Rises. People like to kind of dog on it because it's got like some, I guess you'd call them plot holes or whatever, and some of it doesn't quite make sense. But like, I don't know, I love like the scale of it. I love stories where like a guy is like coming out of retirement for one last ride, and like the scenes where he's like suiting up and becoming Batman again after a long break. Like he puts on that like leg brace and like kicks a brick wall out. Like it's just, I don't know, something about that gets me like fired up. Yeah, I love Dark Knight Rises. I think it's great. So that's definitely an own. I'd probably go, actually I think I'm gonna go rent Skyfall and then probably trash Avengers, because I do like the Avengers, but like Marvel in general, I never really feel inclined to ever like rewatch any Marvel movies. I don't know what it is. I just never am like in the mood to like revisit them. That's not like a slight, like they're very entertaining and stuff, like, but I don't know. I'd rather watch like something else.
I was going back and forth on those. I think Avengers pulled out a little bit for me just because it was seeing all those heroes on the screen for the first time. But like I said, I was going back and forth between those two, so I couldn't argue that too hard.
This one's tough because these are all actually like good movies.
I agree.
This one's tough. Yeah, Avengers was huge at the time, man. I mean, that was like a cultural moment, you know. I mean, it's shaped the way movies have been made since in the years following. So it's you can't deny its influence for sure.
Right. Correct.
This is incredibly tough. And again, in this game, there's no wrong answers. But Mark and my boyfriend Max are on the same page. They both love The Dark Knight Rises. That's his favorite.
It's so good. I like it more than The Dark Knight. Yeah, for sure.
I would personally, and don't get mad, I would trash The Dark Knight Rises. I would rent Skyfall and own the Avengers. But then you also kind of sold me on the concept, Mark, of like, how many times am I going to rewatch the Avengers? Which is really an interesting thing to think about, because I don't really ever rewatch Marvel movies to that extent. I see them in the theater. I will maybe watch them again at home or on Disney Plus, but like, when am I going to throw that on all the time? So that was also that swayed me as well. So at this point, I might change it, and I might rent the Avengers and own Skyfall. I mean, that sounds so stupid, but maybe I would do that. But
I mean, you gotta go with your gut. You know?
I know. I think if it's The Dark Knight Rises that kills me, because like, I do want to see Bane again.
Yeah,
but
Bane's
I didn't.
Great.
Yeah, he is great, but I wish they had chosen a different cat. Well, I could go on a whole diatribe, but I don't hate The Dark Knight Rises by far. It's just out of these three, I might have to trash that one personally. But we're gonna get to the next one. So these are, and again, I have the year written down somewhere. This was 3 films that were nominated for Best Picture. I did not put the one that won Best Picture, and I can quickly search that while you guys are duking this one out. The Aviator, Sideways, and Ray.
Go ahead, Corey. We'll just continue going in our, because this one's a little more tricky.
Yeah. Okay. Own, I'd say Aviator, Rent, Ray, Trash, Sideways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, so I've only seen The Aviator, and it's been many years since I've seen The Aviator, but I remember liking it. Scorsese, Leo, pretty iconic duo. I wonder, was that their first collaboration, or was it
I think it was.
The
Yeah.
Departed? I know
Oh,
they were. I know they were. They're probably close in proximity to one
so I think
another.
this was the 2004 Academy Awards.
Okay, I feel like
Which
that. When
no,
is
I'm so
Departed?
sorry. 2005 Academy Awards, but the movies came out in 2004.
Okay, Departed's 2006. So yeah, this was the first one. I would probably. Sideways is that's the guy who did Holdovers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to see this.
It's
Because
really
because I loved Holdovers. It was like my favorite movie of last year. So I'm kind of, and Paul Giamatti's in that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna go. And I'm curious about Ray too because I've never seen that one. So this one's tricky because I haven't seen most of them. So with that in mind, I would say I probably, because I have a feeling I would love Sideways and would probably rewatch it. So I would probably buy Sideways, rent Aviator, trash Ray, which feels wrong because I really don't know much about. Because well, I don't want to trash Aviator and then because I know I already like and seen that. This one's hard. Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah. Buy Sideways, rent Aviator, trash Ray. I don't feel good about it, but that's what I got to do.
And there's no wrong answers at all. So
Yeah.
that's, we
No,
have to
it's-
keep that in mind.
That's what's fun about it is you're kind of you have to make tough choices.
Ty Sapong said, rent Sideways while drinking Merlot. There's a joke in the movie where Paul Giamatti hates Merlot and they're at they're in wine country. So he like flips out and he's like, okay, I'll go on this double date with you. But if anyone opens up a goddamn bottle of Merlot, I'm leaving. Like, it's like so over the top. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but it's ridiculous. And it's really
I
fun.
love Paul Giamatti. He is the best.
I feel like I need to rewatch The Aviator. I saw it in the theaters with my parents. I know that oh my God, Kate Blanchett was phenomenal as Katharine Hepburn. I don't know if it had the like lasting appeal as far as like a lot of other Scorsese films do.
Yeah.
Ray has got that. I know they're both technically biopics, The Aviator and Ray, but Ray is more of a traditional biopic in the sense of like it's a musician biopic. I feel like Ray to me would be, because it is so good and it's a great depiction and you learn a lot about who Ray Charles was, I would probably rent that. I don't think like a lot of biopics have a constant, like they don't have a rewatchability quality to me. So then I would probably own Sideways, rent Ray, and then trash The Aviator. And I'm sorry if there are major Aviator fans, but it's not a bad movie. That's what I'm going to choose.
I think it's fair to say that Aviator is kind of forgettable because it has been like probably over a decade since I've seen it, but there are also films I've seen a decade ago that are far more memorable than The Aviator was, for me anyway. I can only speak from my experience, but I think if you were to look at a lot of people's like Scorsese rankings, you'd probably find that one toward the bottom.
Right. And Howard Hughes is a fascinating person to learn about.
Oh, very much so.
And my choosing that to be trash might just be because I need to rewatch it, and
Yeah.
I'm not feelings aren't as strong. But we're gonna go to the next one. Okay, so we have.
Oh, this is great.
I know you might not have seen all three, but these are Ari Aster's entire filmography as of yet. So
yeah, I actually do own all three of these.
And I'm gonna be right back. I'm still here, but I'll be right back. So you can start though.
No, that's fine. Corey, you want to take it away?
Oh,
what's your relationship with Ari Aster? Are you a fan of his?
I have not seen a lot of his movies, so that's not meaning I'm not a fan. I just have not seen a lot. So I've seen one of three of these, but I've heard lots of all three of them.
Yeah.
So,
which one have you seen? If I might.
Hereditary.
Okay, I think
just because I've seen it, I'd probably put that at own.
Yeah, I think that's his best one.
The next will just be guesses because I haven't seen them, but just what I've heard. I'd probably go Own, Hereditary, Rent, Midsommar, and Trash Beau is Afraid. But
Yeah,
I don't have a lot to stand on there because I've only seen one of the three.
his filmography is interesting because, I would say his most rewatchable movie is probably Midsommar.
Yeah.
Beau is Afraid is like borderline experimental.
That's
Tracy
what I've
actually
heard.
had me on. We had a great panel with I think it was Tyler Wolf and Draculina Horror and the two of us for that Beau is Afraid panel. And that was
And
great.
I think Fritzky too.
Yes. I'm sorry. I can't leave him out. That panel was so great because it really helped me to like make sense of Beau is Afraid because that's not a movie you can figure out on your own.
No.
So having the perspectives of like 4 or 5 other people really helps you get a better sense of the movie. Hereditary I saw once and it fucked me up. I have not seen it since. Still the scariest film I've ever seen like as an adult. So with that being said, probably Own, Midsommar, Rent, Hereditary, Trash, Beau is Afraid. Even though I like all 3 of these.
I think
so
those
far
are.
Beau is in the same spot for both.
Yeah,
of us.
and it's just
we'll
because
hear about
it's
Tracy here.
It's so clearly like the outlier of the 3. Like
Yeah.
it's very different. So
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like Corey, for you only saw one of these, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like you did actually. Just from an outsider's perspective, like I feel like you made a really well-educated choice because Beau is Afraid is really out there, even though I really liked it. So I feel like, I think Hereditary would be the one to own, and that for myself, just because if you want to throw it on for a scary movie or things like that, and Toni Collette's phenomenal in that, and then Midsommar, I'm like weirdly obsessed with all 3 of these movies because I find him to be such a fascinating director. But I guess if I had to choose, and Beau is Afraid was one of my favorite movies of last year, or was it last year or 2 years ago? But I'm forgetting that.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago. So that was definitely one of my favorite films of the year it came out. But I might have to trash it unless I want to just torture myself and own it and rewatch it till I totally understand everything. But
It was last year. I'm sorry. I was about to say that's a fast 2 years, man.
yeah, true. So yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page here. I've got Allie says I never want to watch Midsommar or Beau is Afraid ever again.
That's totally valid. I do think Midsommar is probably his most rewatchable though.
Yeah.
Because Beau is Afraid is 3 hours long, and that's the main reason I haven't watched it again. That, and of course, like all the subject material is pretty off-putting. And Hereditary is, like I said, legitimately like traumatized me. So kind of by default, Midsommar becomes his most rewatchable movie for me.
Tim says these are on my list to watch. I haven't seen any of these. Well, I would start in this order actually, if you want to get accustomed to Ari Aster, because I know we even talked about this. I think at one point that like Ari Aster wanted to make Beau is Afraid to be his first film, and studios were like, no one's gonna like back this because it's so out there. So then he did Hereditary, which is very normal horror, I would say. Then Midsommar gets crazier, but not like too off-putting. I mean, it's off-putting, but you know what I mean? Compared to Beau is Afraid. And then Beau is Afraid is a wild ride. So
yeah, well said.
Beau is Afraid messed me up. Yes, it's I'm still analyzing it every day.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it in a while. It's a really, really interesting movie, though. The fact that it even got made is sort of a miracle.
I absolutely agree. Now we have 3 horror movies that are more not traditional like spooky season, but they are to a certain extent a little more crime thriller-y. And the thing is not really a crime thriller, but it kind of it's a movie I feel like people associate with Halloween, and it's more of like it's also like a sci-fi thing. So I put these 3 in there.
This is tough. This might be the hardest one yet.
2 out of the 3 are tough for me. I'll just say that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. Am I going first or are you going first?
You go ahead. Yeah, well, let's keep it the way we've been doing.
Okay. Oh gosh, this is tough for the first two. I'm gonna say Own the Thing, Rent, The Silence of the Lambs. Sorry, not to go in order. I'm not trying to be. And then Trash, Longlegs.
It's totally.
But
fine.
The Thing and Silence of the Lambs are, man, that's a tough choice between those two for me. Anyway,
I love all three of these movies. So it's going to be a question of like recency bias comes into play. Like, obviously The Thing and The Silence of the Lambs have the benefit of like having existed for 30 plus years. So it's easier for me to probably put those in the two desirable categories. Did you not like Longlegs, Corey? Not a fan?
I was not the biggest fan, and I've gotten grief for that. But
It's totally valid, man. You're well within your rights to not like it.
But I have said I want to watch it again. I do want to give it a rewatch. I've only seen it once. So.
Okay, well that's commendable. You know. Yeah. So I'd probably say, geez, I mean, how do you split the difference here between The Thing and Silence of the Lambs? Boy, I own all three of these too, actually, which is funny. I'll say Own, Silence, Rent, Thing, Trash, Longlegs, just because Longlegs is the new guy on the block and does not have the benefit of a lot of time on its side. But I do think I really liked it. I like that filmmaker, Osgood Perkins. I like his other movie, Blackcoat's Daughter. It was really good. I would say I would recommend it to you, Corey. But if you didn't like Longlegs, then maybe not.
No, I'm writing it down. Actually, I've not seen that.
Shit. Okay. It's a good spooky season watch. So,
what was it called again?
The Blackcoat's Daughter. Yeah.
No, I'm willing to check out different things, so I'm not afraid to do that. So
that's good.
I always appreciate people throwing out recommendations because you might find the next favorite movie. You know, you never know until you check it out.
I respect that. I like to keep an open mind as well because obviously we know what we like, but sometimes
but you got to test those bounds up.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's this one was hard, Tracy. You're making me pick between like 3, 4, 4.5 out of 5 movies.
No softball pitches from Tracy tonight.
No.
They've gotten progressively more interesting.
I agree.
Well, I just feel like if they're all an obvious like throwaway, then there's nothing to talk about. So
no conversation.
Yeah,
100%. You've done a good job of curating these.
Yes.
Well, and I like what both of you have said about these three. And I think we all know that we would never have gotten Longlegs without Silence of the Lambs because it's so heavily inspired by that. And I think that for Corey, like I feel like the detriment of the marketing of Longlegs maybe turned people off once they saw it because people were saying it was the scariest movie they've ever seen and things like that. And to me, it's definitely not the scariest movie I've ever seen before. I loved the lore of everything and I love Nick Cage and I really genuinely loved that movie. But I think that like even I was kind of like, well, this is definitely not the scariest movie I've ever seen. So I don't know who it's like. I hate when people say that. It's like when they said, I think it was James Gunn was like, The Flash is the best superhero movie I've ever seen. It's like, is it though? Like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. he was in he still is in an interesting position as like the head of DC. So I take comments like that with like a grain of salt from someone in his position anyway.
Absolutely. I hate saying this, but I kind of feel like I'm going to own The Thing. And this is the opposite of the recency bias. So I think I'm actually going to own The Thing, rent Longlegs just to witness Nicolas Cage's performance, and then trash Silence of the Lambs, which I know this is like blasphemous. So I think it is that recency thing though, because I really wanted to keep deep diving into the world of Longlegs too much. So maybe like in a year, I would totally change my opinion on this because I love Silence of the Lambs. So
this is awesome. Yeah. I think we each had a different ranking.
I think we did. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
We've got someone that just joined us, Texas HXCX 1965. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
How you doing?
Oh yeah, did I just spell that entire? No, I said Texas. Okay, I was like, did I spell out Texas too? No, I did not. Thank God. Someone says I'd like. Oh yes, TSHH. This is. I'm gonna just be. I feel like an android right now. TSHHBA24 says I liked the filmmaking and the world of Long Legs. Than I did the actual movie, if that makes sense. Sounds of the Lambs is not as rewatchable as The Thing. Those are also very good points. We're gonna go to the final one. This is our final one and done. These are all Denis Villeneuve films, and I chose to leave Dune off of this, both of them, because it just made it. I think it.
Yeah, that muddies the waters a bit.
Yeah. So
Right,
Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, and Sicario.
All right, let's see if I can choose the wrong ones again here. Own, I have to go with Sicario. I love that one. I'll go Own, Sicario, Rent, Blade Runner 2049, and Trash Arrival. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not a wrong answer.
There was like silence.
No, this is a tricky one.
No, I mean, I'd be interested to hear your reasonings, though, Corey.
So, Sicario, I really like that one. That's one I'll go back to and rewatch lots of times. There's a lot of scenes in that movie. I can just go back and watch. There's some movies I'll just go back and watch a scene from the movie, and whether it's right or wrong or strange or whatever, but there's a few scenes in Sicario I'll go back and just watch that. There's the whole border crossing scene.
Oh yeah, that part was crazy.
Oh gosh, I can go back and rewatch that one and just watch it unfold, and you know what's going to happen. But so I'll say that Blade Runner 2049. I like Blade Runner anyway, and that's just a beautiful film. I'll just say beautifully shot. So just being pretty, I'll go with that one. But I liked it as well. So I'm not just boiling it down to that. Arrival I liked, so I'm not saying I don't like it, but it was a little slower moving for me than the other two. So that's the order I'm going with on it.
I respect it. Arrival and Sicario I've only seen once, and Blade Runner I've seen a few times. Blade Runner is, I mean, that's probably one of my favorite movies ever. It's really, really incredible. And if we're getting literal, like with the owning, like the 4K disc is like a reference quality disc. It's really incredible stuff. I think I prefer Denis' sci-fi stuff. Sicario is sort of like the odd man out. It's obviously very like grounded in real world events and stuff. So, and I like all three of these, just to clarify. These are all 4-star movies and up. So I'd probably go in order. I'd probably own Blade Runner, rent Arrival, trash Sicario.
Yeah, those are both of your choices are not bad at all. And
that's the hard thing. You got to put them all in one spot or
right.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you hate any of them, but you
have to pick. Yeah, you got to pick.
Yep.
There's stakes. This is definitely a Sophie's Choice type of situation. I have only seen all three of these movies once. I loved all of them. I love Denis Villeneuve. I can totally understand what Corey is saying with Arrival being slower than the other films. There is a much slower pace. It's like a much more intimate type of, like you feel like you're just in Amy Adams' brain the whole time, which is done really well and it's well executed, but it definitely makes it slower than the others. Visually Blade Runner is just phenomenal. This is really tough, and I really liked Sicario too. I think what I'll do is, because Sicario also I think was doing things in a world that has been shown by other directors, but it wasn't done as well. So I think I might have to get rid of Arrival. I don't know. This is tough. I think I would rent Sicario, even though that I think Sicario actually might have more rewatchability compared to the other two, just because of what it is. Oh man, yeah. Okay, so I'll rent Sicario. I will own Oh man, I can't even play my own game. This is so bad.
I love it when the host gets like tripped up on it. I love it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I made you guys do it, so I will have to do it as well. So, okay. So, Sicario, I guess I will rent. I will own Blade Runner 2049 and I will get rid of Arrival. But I hate doing all of that. It makes me nauseous. So, and I don't even want to think about it. And I've only seen his movies once, all three of them, but that's how much of an impact they have. I think he's so phenomenal.
Oh, he's like probably one of the better directors working today. I don't think that's...
And what a mix of movies too. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah, he's got like Prisoners and stuff, and Sicario, which are the more grounded stuff, and then he's got, at this point, this huge body of work as far as like his sci-fi stuff. The thing I love about Arrival is like any movie about aliens, like the challenge is like, how do you depict the aliens, because it's so likely that our brains wouldn't be able to comprehend them, so it's like, how do you put that to screen?
Yeah,
and I think the way they do it in Arrival is like really like visually interesting.
And I'll agree, I still enjoy the movie. So,
oh yeah, it's pretty cool.
In the spot, but yeah,
it's a cool ass movie.
With it. Yeah, for
sure. Because that's probably it's like a very realistic, like, how would we? Because we have to figure out how to communicate with these aliens. Like that's just such an enticing. Like that's a great hook. Like you hear that and you're like, oh wow, okay, like I want to see that process, unfold. That's really interesting.